TheyGo, the first show to know when it comes to FPV and RC info. Broadcasting from TheyGo studios, covering these rapidly growing sensations of both drones and RC cars. Without further delay, your hosts, Zach Morris and the Big Shane.
Hey, welcome to TheyGo, the show that brings you news, interviews, tech tips for both RC cars and drones. I'm Zach Morris, and this is the Big Shane.
Hey guys.
And on today, we've got a great show. Shane, what's in store today?
We have an amazing show. What's about to go down for you tonight? Number one, we have the Worlds. Nitro 8-scale Worlds is here in Las Vegas, which everybody's been anticipating and waiting for, and just couldn't wait to get their hands on seeing this race and just seeing the build layout and all this other stuff that's happening around us. Also, we have IIC, which is one of the biggest premier carpet events for on-road racing in, I would say, America.
Yeah, there's that one, and
Snowbirds
is the other big one.
But also, it's just crazy to see what's going on. And we have Jimmy Babcock that's going to be here live in the studio with us, recording a show, his interview about the Worlds and what's happening, and maybe a little one-on-one with Jimmy and stuff. We'll get into that a little bit later. But what do you got planned on for the weekend, Zach? What's going on?
I think we're going to go out and do mains at IIC and talk to some of the guys out there. We got our guy Richard Burnside out there covering some of the local media out there, and he's doing a heck of a job posting on Facebook and social media. And
I can't thank him enough. Actually, it's just crazy. I've been watching all the stuff he's been. I can't believe it. Like all the videos he's posting and all this other stuff that's going on. I see all the action around it, and it's part of TheyGo. And thanks, Richard. I just really appreciate that. You know, thanks a lot. And anyways, we're going to be going to IIC, checking out all the stuff, talking to some of these top drivers, some of these top people in the industry,
and some of the guys that might be even unrecognized. And we have some of that local talent out here that might kind of go under the radar a little bit. Maybe go talk to some of those guys and learn about them and everything.
Of course, so let's raise them up, you know. And there's actually a couple really fast guys. And I noticed on tomorrow, I was checking the old Facebook there, and I saw a couple, you know, Winston Fernandez and a couple of these old school you know,
guys.
Gus G and all these people, old school OG racers of Las Vegas that are also at IIC. This is a huge event. You know, people travel from all over the world.
This year it's different. It's at Westgate because Riviera got knocked down. So
yeah, but to combine both of these, you know, you got an on-road event happening, and then you got this, you know, World Nitro off-road event happening. And what better place than the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. And then, you know, TheyGo show is going to be covering a lot of this stuff. We're going to actually be down there, and we're going to be talking to these people. It'll be really fun. So let's get on with our show, and we're going to talk to Jimmy Babcock here in a minute, and let's get on a commercial break. So hey, we're here back at the TheyGo studio with Jimmy Babcock, one of the best announcers in the RC car industry today. Jimmy, thank you for coming out here, being on the show. I got to shake your hand, man. You're doing Nitro Worlds right now, which is absolutely out of control, right? I mean,
insane.
When me and Zach went down there and we saw this facility and the way they're putting on this event, it's pretty crazy. It's like the Olympics. And it really kind of tripped me out to see this, you know, and it's all, we always wanted this. How does it feel for you to be into this sport, and now you're at this pinnacle event for RC cars? And how does it feel? Like, what was it like to get there to this point in your career? Like, how does that?
It's crazy because I never even started out, you know, wanting to be an announcer. You know, I never was any good at it. I couldn't even do an oral report in high school. I took Fs. And just so happened I was working, you know, at the hobby shop that I now own, and the announcer said, hey, let's try you on the mic. And I'm like, no. But it was a little different because, you know, I'm trapped in a timing tower, and I didn't have people staring at me.
Yeah, no one's watching to see what you got going all the time, so you can hide.
Right.
Right. It was kind of like my previous show. I can hide behind a microphone and no video. No one's there to witness what's going on and see what's happening. Our physical emotions.
Exactly.
So you can be hot and mad as heck inside that little box, yelling at people or doing whatever, or trying to stay positive, you know.
Right.
And nobody can see what's going on. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can hide.
You know, I just come off a 15-year professional racing career and was kind of coming down the backside of it, and decided to start announcing. I was still racing at the time, and the first big race was, you know, my Hot Rod Hobbies shootout. And, you know, I had all the connections with all the superstars in the industry. So the guy I worked for at the time, he basically said, hey, I want to put this race together. And I said, okay, and I made a few phone calls and got some sponsors and got some big names there and had our first annual event. And then by the second or third year, I kind of, you know, perfected what I did. I'm really a perfectionist. So like all the small details I was, you know, keeping track of. So as the numbers grew, more eyes, you know, were on me. The phone calls started coming in. People said, I like how you do it. I like how you run an efficient program, a fair program. You keep everything on time. We want you to do our race.
Announcer, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Come
the
on
last
in.
thing you want at a race is to have something get prolonged and it not be on schedule, and you want to kind of know what's going on. And
A lot of the times, people, they don't know. They don't know. They just want to play with their RC cars, right? And most people aren't a horse announcer or auctioneer, so like they don't know what it is that go into this stuff. And they knew that you had that gift to be able to portray that racing background and that voice of racing. And they brought you in and say, hey man, we don't know what we're doing. Come out here and run this race for us, and it's a professional manner, 100%. And then here we have JBRL, which is one of the most recognized racing in the sport of RC on the West Coast that I know of.
it's a whole nother level. I remember I did a series race in California, and I was like, oh man, I'm A-maining all the time, and I'm hot stuff.
And then you went to JBRL.
Tell my wife, like, hey, next year we're signing up for JBRL. I want some trophies. I want to get sponsored. And I go out there. I'm in like the E or the F main. And
sportsman.
trying to get up in the top, and it just doesn't happen.
Well, you know, as a racer for so many years, you know, I heard a million different announcers. And there would be some guys that I'm like, well, I don't like that. And then other guys, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So when I started doing it myself, you know, I had that experience to apply to what I was doing, you know, the good and the bad, and, you know, being a racer myself and, you know, getting to that point where now I'm on the microphone, I'm like, okay, well, it really sucked when I used to hear this announcer do this, or it was awesome when, you know, and so, you know, I kind of, you know, implemented that into my style, and you know, next thing you know, here we are.
Now you've done a lot of big races. You've done Roar Nationals, you've done JBRL, which is a big event. Now you're at Worlds. Is it any different announcing in the tower as Worlds, or is it kind of the same?
Truth be told, and everybody gets a kick out of this, this is the easiest and the least amount of pressure I've ever had. And the reason why I say that is...
no sense.
Well, there's probably no event set up. He just comes and...
Well, no, the reason I say that is usually when I'm announcing, I'm like, have to set up everything, hang the banners,
bring all the stuff.
You know, run all the cables. I'm the race director. I'm the official. I call the penalties, you know, and I announce. So when they hired me to come in and do this one, they're like, well, you don't have to be the race director, so you don't have to make any decisions. You don't have to be the referee. We have two guys on the stand that are calling all the penalties. You just got to run the race. And I'm like, awesome. I don't have to set anything up. I don't have to be the bad guy. I just show up and do my thing and do what I love doing. And it's been pretty, you know, other than losing, you know, a little bit of the voice.
How many days now have you been in Las Vegas prepping or doing this thing? And when did you arrive here?
Well, we left on Thursday morning, so today's a week.
Yeah, you've been here a week already, and we're not done.
Started announcing Friday morning, and I've announced, you know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 days straight now.
Oh, wow. No breaks
with
or anything?
3 more to go.
Wow. Wow.
Now, there's been a lot of drama and stuff at the RC track and everything, but is there any positives that we can take back from all that? You know, like.
Well, it's funny because, you know, the last couple of days we've been coming up with the word of the day to try to bring a little bit, because the first part of the race, there was a lot of complaints about watering and inconsistency of the track. And so, you know, reading everything on social media, you know, I take it to heart. You know, if someone comes up, even though they always say, well, this is not about, you know, you, or this is not.
What's crazy, it's not even your event.
Right.
So why should you take that?
The problem is everybody knows me.
Yeah, so they're going to blame you.
No one knows the referees. No one knows the sanctioning body.
They can talk to you. They'll talk to Jimmy.
Exactly. So everybody that has a complaint will come up to me because.
Especially they've been warming up for Worlds. They go to the JBRL. And
yeah, hey, I'm going to go talk to Jimmy.
Yeah.
My lap's off.
But a lot of positives. I mean, all the international flavor meeting new people, you know, trying to understand people when they're talking and they're trying to talk
in
English
their language,
and joking around with people. And, you know, don't get me wrong, the majority of the people, 98.5% of the people, you know, are having a great time.
Sure, it's worlds.
You know, you know how it is. A person has a bad race, and instead of going, man, I just had a bad race and didn't drive well, it was the track was too wet, or the track was dry. So, you know, so other than that, you know, the last couple days, you know, yesterday we showed up and I had a little announcement. No one asked me to do it. I said the word of the day is positive. We're going to have positivity. We picked a song right before the start of the first race. We played a super positive song, and everybody kind of got in the mood. You know, I tried to joke around. We had a guy from Mexico that won his heat.
They came out deep.
He came out to turn marshal with the big sombrero.
Awesome.
You know,
not allowed probably on the track though, huh?
No, they let him turn marshal.
Really?
So
well, amazing.
During the breaks in between races when they were watering, got my phone out real quick and found some mariachi music, plugged in my phone, played
Positivity
it. Everybody
of the day,
started cracking up and joking. He started dancing out at his turn marshal cone, and it was a good time today.
Right.
You know, today our word of the day was friendship. I encouraged everybody this morning. I go, how often do you get to, you know, mingle with guys from 43 different countries?
All over the world.
You know, I said, today I encourage everybody to go out there and, you know, say hello and make new friends and learn about new cultures and different people and, you know, played a song, you know. I think yesterday was, you know, Don't Worry, Be Happy was the song.
You always play some crazy songs. Like I would go to JBRL and you always got some crazy jams going on. But number one thing I always liked about your race events, I don't know why, it's just that American feel. And it was just, you always play.
Brings it back to roots.
He always plays the national anthem before every race event of the JBRL. And you have a couple different versions of it too.
Yeah.
And I just remember that my first experience with that, it was almost like, I'm at a real event. I'm at the pinnacle of what this is, this RC car sport is. And it does.
Well, it's pretty crazy.
It brings that American feel to it.
With Nitro Electric, there's always hustle and bustle going on, and there's always, you know, things going on.
That's that moment of silence.
And every single morning of the JBRL, you know, I play that national anthem, and I stand up there and I watch everybody looking at the flag, and it's so quiet and it's so peaceful, and it's like, you know, makes you, you know, as corny as it sounds, proud to be an American, just seeing everybody stop what they're doing and pay attention.
That's the way I felt the first time. And everything's so noisy and crazy. And my first time to come into your event and seeing that happen, I was like, what a well-organized event. And like, it was cool. You know, it was just really cool.
The national anthem was great. Me as a military guy, I go there and I hear it and I'm all, this is awesome. You know, I've been to other races and it's kind of pushed off and everything, and it's a real serious kind of like, hey,
it was hats off, everything. Like
just like
at Worlds, it's an RC car race.
When they did the driver introductions at Worlds, they played every national anthem, and that was kind of cool to hear all of those different aspects.
Well, that was my responsibility, and that was probably, if I had to pick all 9 or 10 days we're here, that was the most pressure
Make sure you get them right.
I spent literally almost a full day listening to several different versions of each country. Now, 43 countries. So I had to listen to make sure and try to make sure I had the right one, because some countries have different versions.
And you're live too, so you can't really.
And then even when we got here, I had several of the team managers from the countries come over and listen, and I had all but one right. And I'm thankful that I had the team manager come up, because it would have been very disrespectful.
Oh, of course.
So I got onto the internet and let him listen to the couple versions, and he said this is the right one, and it went off without a hit.
So you think this is playing a part on your brain actually at this moment? So that must have been the most stressful part of this world so far, getting the anthems correctly for these
well, there's an order of progression too. So I had a list of 43 countries in this order, and so originally I was asked by the race director to cut off each one halfway through to save time, and I said, I don't think that's a good idea. I wouldn't want to go somewhere and they're playing their national anthem, my national anthem for me,
or somebody else,
and it stops halfway through because of a time crunch. I go, I think that's disrespectful.
Now, did they all get played to their full entirety?
I made sure everyone got played to their full entirety.
That's really cool.
Some of them were a lot longer.
And some of them were
about
short.
2.5 minutes was the longest one, and about a minute was the shortest one. So it kind of worked out. It was about an hour.
When I walked in there, me and Zach, he was waiting for me there. He's like, "You're not down here yet. You better get down here." And I'm flying down there in the car and obeying all speed limits, of course. And I get down there, and it was just amazing what I'm seeing, from track prep to banners and people and their gear and just the way it was. And then all of a sudden, to see this opening, this grand opening, it was almost like the Olympics of RC cars.
Right.
At least in the 8-scale world of off-road nitro, this is the Olympics of our sport. It happens once every 2 years. When's the next time it's coming here? 2024?
8 years. 8 years.
Something
It
like that.
was here in 2000, 2008, and now 2016. So 2024.
2024
Next
is the
year
next.
The next one, it's going to be overseas again?
Australia, 2018.
That one's going to be
2
crazy.
years,
Yeah, that's going to be nuts.
Perth, Australia.
Now, do you plan on doing that event as well? Do they want you to do this?
Well, ironically, I talked to the people there, and I just put my name in the hat.
Okay.
You know, because
so it's a draw.
Well, much like the United States feels that I'm the best they have to offer.
Sure, Europe might have
Australia
some,
has
of course.
the best they have
I've
to
heard
offer.
some really good ones.
Right, and so I don't want to step on anybody's toes, so I called the people I needed to call, and I just put my name in, and I said, just in case, you know,
Give me
I
a
want
call.
you to know that
Sure.
at least
I'm
I
on
can
board.
say that if they need somebody, I put my name in 2 years in
You tried
advance.
and doing
Yeah.
it. That's kind of cool.
But I don't want to step on anyone's toes, just
Right.
like I wouldn't want anybody to
Of
do
course.
that for me.
Now, after all the qualifying and everything, what, Tebow set overall TQ, I believe it is?
Tebow set TQ, which is rare because he only had 2 TQs out of the 4 rounds, where Elliott Boots had 3. And
Right.
most people were like, well, he got 3, so he should be.
He should be on
But
top,
it's
right.
best 4 out of 6. Tebow had his 2 TQs, which is 0-0, and he had 2 seconds,
Okay.
which is 2 and 2, where Elliott Boots had 3 zeros, but I think his next one was like a 7. So, or
So,
a 5 or
with the
something like
points and
that. So
everything,
adding the 4 rounds together, Tebow came out on top.
Is there anyone in the main event? I know we got a lot of mains to go over and everything, but the main event tomorrow, is there anyone kind of hidden down there in the shadows that you think might be a big contender to come out and take in that win tomorrow?
I don't know about a big contender, but there was 2 names in particular that were one Italian who's only 15 and another kid from Spain who was 14 or 15 that I had never even heard of before.
Right.
And next thing you know, we get into the practice rounds and stuff, and I keep seeing these 2
The
names up there.
keep popping up on
And
your
I
screen.
and you know, I don't know who they are, so when they would go out and turn marshal, I would look and say, okay,
Who
cone
is that
5.
on number 5? Yeah.
Who is that? And it was a little short, you know. And so yeah.
There's some women at Worlds this
One.
year, right?
Just one.
Yeah, Jessica Paulson.
Jessica.
She's from Sweden.
Yes.
And not bad as far as probably sitting somewhere 60 or 70th, but out of 234.
Talking about the best people in the world
Right.
playing with 8-scale.
She's doing good, and the only woman to do it and hold
Absolutely.
herself really good
That's
out
cool.
there.
I watched her races, and it's not like she got in
Right.
you know, for any other reason, but she's got talent.
She's fast. We watched her. Me and my wife were there for one of the races, and we watched her go. And I'm like, man, you hear top 3, and then there she is, like edging on, and top 3 finishes in her heats, and
Exactly.
that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
To have that aspect. And my wife, of course, female racer, and she's like, that's cool. She's out there racing, and my wife takes pride in racing and wants to take it serious, and she has the same aspect on the track, and watching her carry herself, that was a treat, definitely. When we were there.
Exactly, and then walking by, never even meeting her, walking by, giving her knuckles in the pit. So now every time
Yeah.
we walk by, so it's
Yeah,
kinda
you're like,
fun.
hey, right on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. That's cool. I got another question. This is a little bit off of the world. What are some of the biggest changes that you've seen in the past 2 years in this RC car industry, man?
I would have to say, I don't know. That's a tough one.
I mean, we're talking about track changes, people changing the carpet, and different car manufacturers out there, and then everybody's switching to like a metal chassis, and now all of a sudden people are ripping them apart or whatever they're doing to make them faster and do all this stuff. What kind of changes have you seen, maybe positive, in that aspect? Is a carpet a good thing?
Yeah, I don't think it's caught on nearly as much. I mean, I can't really speak to carpet because, I don't have very much experience. I've never driven on it before.
I recently got some off-road experience with it, and for me, it was amazing to come into a facility, really clean, and I can come in an Armani suit and dress really nice. And yeah, it's consistent. My car's never dirty.
Yeah,
it
your
was
car
super
stays
awesome.
clean. You never have to worry about traction.
Now, was it off-road? Yeah, I could say it was off-road, but just clean. Now, was it different than dirt? Yeah, and it's two different, totally different worlds. But do I love it the same as an RC car guy? Yeah, of course.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you're playing with cars and you're hanging out with your friends and you're hanging out with your wife and you're enjoying yourself, it doesn't really matter what you're running. I mean, positivity is a good thing, and I think there's a lot of people out there that kind of focus on the wrong reasons. They need every action that happens at the track to be justified, and we need to get back to hey, you want to go race tonight? Let's go race tonight, and just hang out.
Not so much competition involved, not so much like the ego behind it and the ego-based racing.
Yeah, we just got to get new people involved.
Sure, it's coming.
And sponsorship is kind of getting out of control.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'd like to see a lot of the manufacturers kind of go back to basics. And you got your top 1% of the guys that make a living doing this, but
it's tough. You get the new guy that comes out to the track for the first time, and they see that they go to Worlds and like, this is amazing and everything, and they have that whole atmosphere, and then you're hanging out with the racers and you hear some of the attitudes and the nonsense that goes by. And in reality, we're just racing toy cars.
Exactly.
I mean, we souped them up, we made them better, and the technology is pretty cool. But you see these guys, and we're just out there on the weekend having a good time. It's not our job. And then I think that kind of deters some of the newcomers that comes out to help kind of grow what we have as a hobby here.
And I just think it's, the onus goes on the track to promote a positive vibe and do special things. And, I know at my track I have Racer Appreciation Night where you give away prizes and I buy pizza for everybody, and we have a good time. Some Saturdays we'll do AAA mains to give kind of people more bang for their buck.
I always love that, or a 10-minute main or something like that. I love it.
Exactly.
Because people are used to like a 6-minute run or something like that you do at JBRL, 6-minute run, or however that program is usually scheduled. Take them outside their box a little bit and they can't perform. They fold under the pressure, and I like that once in a while. I love change. I love to switch it up. I love everything in RC cars, and it's just great. We're talking about it right now. Like, what's some of the coolest things you've seen in the RC industry out of some of your racers and customers, and maybe overcoming challenges? Maybe this set them on a new career path. All of a sudden, RC cars came into their life. They stepped into your hobby shop one day, and now all of a sudden, it's changed their whole life.
Well, that's the best part to me, is seeing new people get involved. And for me, doing it now for over 25 years, the motivation is, hard to come by. So for me, the motivation comes from, getting new people involved, seeing the joy in their face, like I had when I first stepped foot into the hobby store, and seeing how excited, they get to be on the track, how excited they get, when they get their first victory, or when they get to travel.
For them on
they get to travel to their first race, and I try to live, vicariously through them, and that's what keeps me going and keeps me pumped. Is
that
meeting,
keeps you going every day to go open the shop, go open the doors, go do the track, go deal with people's usually negativity. You work your butt off to try to make this stuff so perfect. I know this from building tracks or doing whatever I've done in the past, that you can put your heart and soul into something, and 10 people will just knock it down in like 2 seconds. But you got to put on a smile, and just, you can't take it to heart, and you say to yourself, I'll just build the next one better or something like that.
Right, and
we'll move on.
And that's the thing. It's like I always try to focus whenever I have a disagreement with someone, or I read something online and it kind of puts me down. I sit back and I go, well, that one guy today at the track had a blast, and he had a smile on his face, and he was high-fiving me when he left. So whenever I get down, or on a situation that's going on, I focus on the people that are having, the people that are there for the right reasons and having fun, and say that's why I'm doing it, so they can get enjoyment.
It keeps them active in the sport and not want to just pack their stuff up and sell and be done with
and stuff. Surrounding yourself with great people.
Definitely. We're going to move on here. Zach, you have any more?
I got one more question. It's tough as an announcer. I've done a bunch of races and everything, and nowhere near as much as you, but I've done some races, and it's tough to make that split decision to call if driver A hits driver B or whatever, and you have that split-second decision. And I've lost friends over simple things, and I'm just trying to call the race as I saw it. And so at Worlds, are you kind of having that same call, like I should have called that? And
you're my buddy.
Hey, Worlds, I don't have to call anything. That's the brilliant part about this one. But in general, I have the experience of all the racing, and a lot of announcers don't have a lot of racing experience, you know, to where you know the difference between incidental and what kind of moves are racing moves and what kind of moves are dirty moves. So I fall back onto that, and you know, obviously, just like anything else in life, some people are going to agree. Usually, the person that gets the worst end of it's not going to agree. The person that benefits, you know. But you know, I tell everybody usually at my drivers' meeting, I go, we all know the difference between incidental, you know, and intentional.
Sure.
And so you know, I see a lot of cases where you know 2 cars jump off.
We don't have air brakes.
Yeah, exactly. And then someone will come
here.
up yelling and screaming. I go, you guys jumped up off, you know, at the same time and hit in the air.
Look
That's
at
full-on
Supercrosses.
racing, you know. Or you guys, you're running open wheel. You guys are running side by side.
happen.
Someone's going to get the worst end of it. And those are situations I don't call. I try to tend to focus on like where someone's going into a corner and the other guy just doesn't like doesn't even turn, you know, like that's
I'm coming into your door.
Yeah.
Bam, I'm gonna use you as a berm.
like the
I've
stuff
done
that anybody
a
can
couple
see
times,
that's full intentional.
Yeah.
But
I've had it done to me as well, and it's back and forth. It's racing. It's bumping and grinding. That's just part of the sport. And then you're the guy to make that decision, and it sucks that it's on you like that. But hey, that's what your job is, and that's what JBRL is all about, and that's what we have tech for, and everything else.
You got to take the good with the bad.
I think that's why everybody loves going to your event so much, is because it's so well organized. And look at what you're doing right now.
It's obviously proof of something. I mean,
he's the announcer of the Worlds, which is pretty amazing accomplishment at this point in your career. I mean, it's been a long time. You've been in this industry for 20, 30 years. And here I've been in it for a while now, and been doing a couple things, but I've always looked up to you since the day that I've started this stuff, and always wanted to run your races. And now to have you come here to the TheyGo studios to help me and Zach do this show is pretty amazing to me, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you
here.
for having me.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely, it's been a pleasure to have you, and we hope to have you back here soon. And
absolutely,
we'll talk to you soon, definitely on the next episode.
Awesome, thank you guys.
Great.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Always remember, like us, share us, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.